Welcome back to the channel. Today we have something truly chilling for you. We're delving into the dark side of the internet, a place where deals seem too good to be true and strangers harbor sinister secrets. These are 3 true Craigslist horror stories that will make you think twice before using the site again. From haunted cars to menacing roommates, these stories will send chills down your spine and keep you up at night. So, turn off the lights, grab your blankets, and prepare to enter a world of terror. A young man, desperate for a reliable car, stumbled upon an unbeatable deal on Craigslist. He had been searching for weeks, scouring every possible listing, but nothing seemed to fit his budget or his taste. It was a classic muscle car, in pristine condition, listed for a fraction of its market value. The photos showed a gleaming exterior, polished to perfection, and an interior that looked almost brand new. The seller, an older gentleman, claimed he was moving overseas and needed to get rid of it quickly. He seemed genuine, his story plausible, and the young man felt a sense of urgency to act fast. The young man, blinded by the incredible deal, ignored the nagging feeling in his gut. He had a sense that something was off, but the allure of owning such a magnificent car at a bargain price was too strong to resist. He contacted the seller, arranged a meeting in a desolate parking lot on the outskirts of town. The location was unusual, but he brushed off his concerns, thinking it was just a convenient spot for the seller. As he drove there, the sun began to set, casting long, eerie shadows across the empty asphalt. The sky turned a deep orange, then purple, and finally a dark, foreboding blue.
He found the car even more impressive in person. The paint glistened under the fading light, and the chrome details sparkled. The old man was friendly, eager to make the sale. He spoke with a calm, reassuring voice, putting the young man at ease. He handed over the keys for a test drive, his hands steady and confident. As the young man gripped the steering wheel, he felt a sudden chill. It was as if the temperature inside the car had dropped several degrees. The air inside the car felt heavy, oppressive. It was difficult to breathe, and a sense of dread began to creep over him. He tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to nerves. After all, he was about to make a significant purchase. But as he drove, the feeling intensified. Every turn of the wheel seemed to amplify the unease. The radio flickered between stations, playing snippets of distorted static and unsettling whispers. It was as if the car was trying to communicate with him. He glanced at the rearview mirror and saw a fleeting figure in the back seat. It was just a shadow, but it was enough to send a shiver down his spine. His heart pounded in his chest. The fear was palpable, almost tangible. He pulled over, his breath catching in his throat. He needed to get out to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the car. The back seat was empty. There was no one there, but the feeling of being watched persisted. Shaken, he turned the car around, eager to get away from this place. He decided he didn't want the car after all. But the car wouldn't start. The engine sputtered and died, refusing to come back to life. It sputtered and died, plunging him into darkness. The only light came from the dim glow of the dashboard. He tried again and again, but the engine wouldn't turn over. Each attempt was met with silence. Panic surged through him as he realized he was stranded, alone, with whatever was in that car. The isolation was overwhelming. He fumbled for his phone, but the battery was dead. There was no way to call for help.
Suddenly, the headlights flickered back on, casting an eerie glow around the car, illuminating the figure in the back seat. It was unmistakable now. It was the old man, his eyes glowing with a sinister light. The friendly demeanor was gone, replaced by something malevolent. He reached out a hand, his touch icy cold, sending a jolt of fear through the young man, and whispered, "You're mine now." The words echoed in the young man's mind, filling him with terror.
The young man screamed. A desperate, blood-curdling scream that seemed to pierce the very fabric of the night. That echoed through the empty parking lot. The sound lingered, a haunting reminder of the encounter.
A young woman, new to the city, searched desperately for an affordable apartment. She had just moved for a new job and was eager to find a place she could call home. The city was bustling, and finding a decent place within her budget seemed almost impossible. Craigslist offered a glimmer of hope, a spacious room in a charming Victorian house, the rent unbelievably low. It seemed like a dream come true, a rare gem in the heart of the city. The listing mentioned a quiet, elderly woman seeking a roommate. The description painted a picture of a serene living situation, perfect for someone new to the city. She contacted the woman, who seemed pleasant and welcoming, over the phone. They chatted for a while, and the elderly woman shared stories about the house and the neighborhood, making it sound even more appealing. They arranged a meeting for the following day. The young woman felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she approached the house. The house was as charming as the listing described, with a cozy living room and a warm, inviting fireplace. It felt like stepping into a different era, with its antique furniture and vintage decor.
The elderly woman greeted her with a warm smile, her eyes twinkling with a strange intensity. She introduced herself as Mrs. Whittaker and invited the young woman inside. She showed her the room, which was spacious and well lit, with a large bay window overlooking the street. The view was beautiful, and the room felt like a sanctuary. The woman seemed almost too perfect, her kindness bordering on unsettling. There was something in her demeanor that made the young woman feel slightly uneasy, but she brushed it off as nerves. But the young woman, eager to escape the loneliness of a new city, dismissed her unease. She convinced herself that she was overthinking and that this was a great opportunity. She signed the lease and moved in that weekend. The process was smooth, and Mrs. Whittaker even helped her with some of the heavier boxes. The first few weeks were uneventful. The young woman settled into her new routine, enjoying the peace and quiet of the house. The old woman kept to herself, spending most of her time in her room with the door closed. She rarely saw Mrs. Whittaker, but when she did, the interactions were polite and brief. But gradually things began to change. The atmosphere in the house grew heavier, and the young woman started to feel a constant sense of unease. The young woman would hear strange noises at night, whispers, footsteps, and the faint sound of chanting coming from the old woman's room. It was as if the house had come alive with eerie sounds. She found strange symbols drawn in dust on the floor outside her door. They were intricate and unfamiliar, sending chills down her spine.
One night, she woke up to a cold hand clasped over her mouth. The sensation was terrifying, and she struggled to breathe. She opened her eyes to see the old woman standing over her, her eyes glowing with an eerie light. It was a sight that filled her with dread. She held a gleaming silver knife, its blade reflecting the moonlight streaming through the window. The knife looked ancient and menacing. The young woman struggled, her heart pounding in her chest, but the old woman's grip was surprisingly strong. She felt trapped and helpless. She whispered, her voice raspy and chilling, "You will be my vessel." The words echoed in the young woman's mind, filling her with terror.
The young woman managed to break free, scrambling out of bed. Her adrenaline surged as she fought to escape, and running for her life. She didn't stop to grab anything, just ran as fast as she could. She fled the house, her screams echoing through the quiet neighborhood. The night was still, and her cries for help seemed to pierce the silence. She never looked back, the terrifying image of the old woman's glowing eyes forever seared into her memory. It was a night she would never forget, a haunting reminder of the roommate from hell.
A young couple, expecting their first child, scoured Craigslist for affordable baby furniture. They were excited and nervous, wanting everything to be perfect for their new arrival. They spent hours browsing through countless listings, hoping to find something special yet within their budget. They stumbled upon a listing for a beautiful antique cradle, its price unbelievably low. The cradle looked like it had a story to tell, with intricate carvings and a timeless design that seemed to whisper of generations past. The seller, a middle-aged woman, claimed she was moving and needed to get rid of it. She mentioned it had been in her family for years, but she could no longer keep it due to space constraints.
The couple, excited to give their child a piece of history, arranged to meet the woman at a storage facility on the outskirts of town. They felt a mix of excitement and curiosity as they drove to the meeting place, eager to see the cradle in person.
The storage facility was dark and desolate, the air thick with the smell of dust and decay. It was an eerie place, with long shadows cast by the flickering lights, making the couple feel uneasy. They found the woman, her face hidden in the shadows of a hooded sweatshirt, standing next to the cradle. Her demeanor was strange, almost as if she was hiding something. It was even more beautiful in person, its wood polished to a high sheen. The craftsmanship was exquisite, and the couple couldn't believe their luck in finding such a treasure.
As the young couple admired the cradle, they felt a strange energy emanating from it. It was as if the cradle had a life of its own, a presence that made them both uneasy. The woman urged them to take it, her voice hushed and hurried. She seemed desperate to be rid of it, her eyes darting around nervously as she spoke. She practically begged them to take it off her hands, claiming it was a family heirloom she desperately needed to get rid of. Her urgency was palpable, and the couple felt a pang of sympathy for her.
The couple, sensing her desperation, agreed to buy it. They felt they were doing a good deed, helping someone in need while acquiring a beautiful piece for their nursery. They loaded the cradle into their truck and drove home, unaware of the darkness they had brought with them. The drive was quiet, the couple lost in thoughts about their future and the new addition to their family. That night, the couple assembled the cradle in their nursery. They took their time, carefully placing each piece, making sure it was perfect for their baby. As they placed the mattress inside, they heard a faint, chilling lullaby echoing from the cradle. It was a haunting melody, one that sent shivers down their spines. They dismissed it as their imaginations, but as the days turned into nights, the lullaby grew louder, more insistent. It was as if the cradle was trying to communicate with them, to tell them something they couldn't understand.
They began to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the nursery, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The figures seemed to move closer each night, their presence becoming more and more oppressive. One night, the couple woke to the sound of their baby screaming. It was a heart-wrenching cry, filled with terror and pain. They rushed into the nursery to find the cradle rocking violently, as if possessed by an unseen force. The sight was horrifying, the cradle moving with a life of its own. The shadowy figures circled the cradle, their eyes fixed on the terrified child. It was a scene from a nightmare, one that the couple couldn't believe was real.
The couple, realizing the cradle was cursed, knew they had to get rid of it. They couldn't risk their child's safety, not with the malevolent forces that seemed to be attached to the cradle. They drove back to the storage facility, determined to return it to the woman. The drive was tense, the couple filled with fear and regret, but the storage facility was abandoned, the woman nowhere to be found. It was as if she had vanished into thin air, leaving no trace behind. The couple abandoned the cradle in the middle of the empty lot, the chilling lullaby still echoing from its depths. They felt a sense of relief mixed with dread, knowing they had left something evil behind. They never saw the woman or the cradle again, but the memory of that night, the terror in their child's eyes, haunted them forever. It was a chapter of their lives they wished they could forget, but the shadows of that cursed cradle would always linger in their minds. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling content. The internet can be a dangerous place, filled with shadows and secrets. And remember, always be cautious when dealing with strangers online. Trust your instincts, and if something feels off, it probably is. Sweet dreams, or should I say nightmares.